To talk more about this horrific discovery and the path forward from here to reconciliation is Karen Joseph, CEO of Reconciliation Canada. Well, welcome, Karen, to 700 Club Canada.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Well, would you share with our viewers what you see is the impact of this discovery?
There's a wave of grief and re-traumatization that's actually going through our communities. It's one of those moments in time where I think that collective disbelief is hitting Canada.
Right.
And from an Indigenous perspective, it's something that we've always known. During the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, this was sort of one of the areas that was the most difficult to gain proper records around. And our people have always known that this is the case. But knowing it and finding that many remains in one site in one day,
right,
has been devastating for us.
Absolutely, Karen. And on behalf of our ministry and for many Canadians, our heart goes out to you. We're grieving the loss with you and just this terrible discovery. What's been being done to support the long-term healing of those affected?
Right now, not much. I would say nothing has significantly changed in terms of the long-term healing.
Okay.
Every organization across this country, Indigenous and in some cases non-Indigenous, are doing everything with what they currently have to respond to the crisis.
Right.
And so, most Indigenous organizations are already running on just unbelievably thin budgets, thin resources, and they're being overwhelmed by the level of crisis and the level of need at this moment.
Right. Yeah. What would you say is the most significant healing that needs to be done here?
Well, I think that there's healing for individuals, and then there's healing for the people involved, and then there are healing for the nation. The sad reality of this story is that we, as Indigenous people, are responding to a tragedy that is completely not of our making.
Right.
That this is a result of legacy enacted by the Canadian government, carried out by the churches, and suffered by the Indigenous peoples, the Indigenous children. And I think that's really the other stark reality. When you talk about the residential school issue, you see today, older people. And the fact of the matter is, most of those people were taken when they were 3 years old, and they were never returned home afterwards. It's not like a regular boarding school where you get summer breaks. I mean, they were designed to kill the Indian in the child. And we know today now that the only thing you do is you kill the human in the child. And so, we're recovering from that. It's not just the people that went there. There's an intergenerational legacy that we're dealing with as Indigenous people and as Canadians.
You're right. You are so right. And, listening to you, and I know our viewers as we're watching and hearing you together, I mean, I just want to say, I'm sorry. And I think all of us across our nation are taking a pause of grieving, a pause of taking some ownership for decisions that were made, that were wrong, that need to be righted. So tell us, how do we rebuild bridges with the Indigenous community today and moving forward?
Well, I think there's just so much that needs to be done, but there is an urgent need at this moment. As I said, if you know of an Indigenous organization that is providing services to survivors in this moment and to intergenerational survivors, please donate to them. There is the Indigenous Residential School Survivor Society who has crisis line that's completely overwhelmed. And there is a national Indigenous residential school survivor society whose crisis line is also overwhelmed. So if you know of crisis lines anywhere in your communities, donate to them at this point. And I think the other piece of it is it's time for us to move beyond sorry. That we're in this moment of how did somebody put it today? It was one of the most the finding of those children is giving us another opportunity to determine the kind of people and the kind of country we want to be moving forward.
Yes.
We have had so many opportunities and we've let them slip by. We've done some, but there has not been any real significant movement, not by the governments, not by, even the people who've been involved in this to address this issue in a significant way. And one of the first things that we're going to need to do, as I said, this is only one. There are 189 recognized Indian residential school survivors. There's way more than that actually existed. But remember, this is a result of a class action lawsuit against the government and the churches. And the TRC was funded by survivors. And so we know we're going to find this. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, it is.
So the amount of grief and the amount that's ready to come is significant. And so we need to work together to find a way to support everybody through this.
Well, I hear your challenge. You're right. What kind of people are we going to be? What kind of nation? What kind of country? And I just encourage our viewers as we're listening to you that that's a question that we all can engage in. We all can respond right now. And you can go to reconciliationcanada.ca to learn more and see ways that you can stand with Indigenous communities. Thank you, Karen. We are so grateful to hear from you. And it is time to listen, to take action as well. And I can assure you that from our ministry to yours, we are praying and we are also taking action to have Canadians rise up to be the people that really God called every one of us to be. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. I really have faith that this is where people are going to move. We've had numerous people from the faith-based community join us, and it's a crisis right now. It's a crisis of faith, and I really believe that with opportunities like this that we will move forward and we'll be able to move forward together. That's how change happens.
That's right.
Change happens when we're uncomfortable.
That's right, Karen. Well, thank you again. And we're uncomfortable and we're ready to change. So I thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.